Hello, my Math 3 scholars. In this video, we are going to learn how to solve absolute value inequalities, okay? Things that look like this. In this video, we're going to focus on less than, okay? When it says absolute value of x is less than something, okay? Now, there's some information that we're going to use to do this, and I'm going to give you that rule right here at the top before we start, okay? So that rule is that all inequalities involving less than or less than and equal to. So if they have a less than sign or a less than or equal to sign, all of those, you're going to use the word and. They will be an and that'll make sense here in just a second when I work one, okay? So what I mean by that is you're going to have to set up two different inequalities to solve here. Now, you'll remember that when we talked about inequalities that we said this could be a positive or negative and we'd still get the same answer. So we have to consider that. So what we do is we say, okay, since we have a less than, we're going to say that means that x can be less than 2. Now here's where the and comes in. And x can be greater than negative 2. And we would get the same answer. So either one of those would work. X could be less than 2 and x could be greater than negative 2. And it would make this statement true. It would make that inequality work, okay? So what that means is if x is less than 2, if we did this down here on a number line, okay? X is less than 2. Since there's no equal to here, that means that we're going to put an open circle at the number 2. An open circle. And let me do that in color so you can see it better. So we're going to do an open circle at the number 2. I don't know if you can see that any better or not. And then we also are going to do an open circle. It says x greater than negative 2. So we're going to do an open circle at negative 2. So it doesn't include either one, so we have to do open circles. Now, since this is less than 2, we would shade this way. And it's greater than negative 2, so we would shade just in the middle. In other words, another way you could look at this is that means that negative 2 is less than x is less than 2. X is between negative 2 and 2 in order for this to be correct. Okay? That's what that means. Now, just like when we solved absolute value equations, you still want this absolute value to be isolated on one side by itself. So make sure that you do that. Okay, so let's look at an example. Example 1. Solve each inequality and graph the solutions. Okay, now you'll notice I've given you a graph down here to use. So you should notice that 8 is not isolated by itself. So the first thing we have to do is subtract 8 from both sides. Okay, that gives us the absolute value of x is less than 12 minus 8, which is 4. Okay, now, remember from up here, we had to do x is less than 2. So the only difference here is we've got a 4. So we're going to do x is less than 4. And up here we did x is greater than negative 2. So we're going to do x is greater than negative 4. When in doubt, always refer back to something that you've already done. Okay, so we have these two answers. And basically what that means is that x is between negative 4 and 4. That's what that means. X is between negative 4 and 4. So when I come down here, since there's not an equal to under here, these are both going to be open circles. So I'm going to have an open circle at negative 4 and an open circle at positive 4. So after I do that, then I have to shade what's in between negative 4 and 4. I have to shade in between here. To shade in between there. And that gets my points that are in between negative 4 and positive 4. Okay, I'm going to do one more example for you. I'll work this example 2 down here. If you would like to pause the video and try it yourself before I work it, please feel free to do so, okay? Okay, the 8 is over here with this absolute value bar, and that can't be there. So this is multiplication, so to undo multiplying, we divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. That gives me the absolute value of x plus 4 is less than or equal to 8 divided by 8 is 1. Okay, now I can create my two equations, but this time I want you to notice that you've got an equal to here, okay? So this is going to be x plus 4 is less than or equal to 1, and x plus 4 is greater than or equal to negative 1. We change that sign, okay? So now we solve. To solve for x here, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Okay. This side gives me x is less than or equal to 1 minus 4 is negative 3. And this side here gives me x is greater than or equal to negative 5. So basically what that's telling me is that x is going to be between negative 5 and negative 3. Okay, this time when we do our graph, since we have an equal to there, that means that we're going to have filled in circles. So I'm going to go to negative 5, but this time it's a filled in circle, not an open circle. And I'm going to go to negative 3, and this time again it's a filled in circle and not an open circle. And again, I'm going to shade what's in between. So any value in between here makes this inequality work. Okay, as always, if you have any questions, let me know.